Every year, more scientists, philosophers, and even programmers converge on one idea. We might be living inside a simulation, and the probability isn't zero. On the contrary, it's frighteningly high. Some even claim over 50%. And if you think about it, it's no longer just a theory. It's nearly a statement disguised as a hypothesis. But if all of this is a game, then who are we? Here lies an intriguing branching. Two possible scenarios emerge. The first, NPC, non-playable characters. These are those created by the system, unaware, predictable, embedded in the plot. They work as cashiers, sit in banks, serve food, walk the streets, and they never realize that they exist inside a game. They simply follow the program they were given. The second, RPG, a role-playing game. That's when you're conscious. When you have your own avatar, your own goal, your internal motivation. You participate in the game, but you don't belong to it. You can go beyond the storyline. You can shape rules, influence others, even begin to rewrite the game's code. But how do you know who you are? An NPC doesn't ask questions. He just lives. The RPG player wakes up and begins to see glitches in the system. Sometimes a strange but simple question arises. What happens if someone just turns off the game? If this truly is a simulation, a world where we eat, love, argue, build homes, write books, then what happens when someone presses the off button? It depends on who you are in this game. If you're just an NPC, a character without awareness, then everything ends, as though nothing ever existed. You simply fall asleep. The system shuts down, and with it, you vanish. Until someone starts the same program again, and you wake up remembering nothing from the previous cycle. But if you are a conscious player, if you've walked the path of awakening, begun seeing glitches in the system, felt patterns, then everything changes. You don't vanish. You return to yourself. You take off the helmet. You remember who you are beyond the avatar. You go beyond the boundaries, as if you'd been in a virtual reality game for hours, forgetting it was a game, and then click. You remove the goggles and find yourself in another room, in your real body and real space where everything is different. Perhaps that exit from the simulation is what we call enlightenment. Maybe for some it happens after death, and for others, while still alive. And maybe the game remembers those who awaken, so they never become NPCs again. You've certainly noticed, sometimes people around you live as though on autopilot. They wake, go to work, return, dine, sleep. No why, no who am I. Just actions, like following commands. As though the program starts in the morning and shuts down at night. It glitches only when someone hits the wrong button. That is NPC, non-playable characters. Not in an insulting way. They can be kind, sincere, even loving. But inside, no questioning of reality. No doubt, no observer, no player. NPC is like a cashier in a game or a guard in a cyberpunk story. He says the same things. He doesn't notice your costume or that there was a shooting yesterday. He simply stands and plays his function, scripted. The player watches. At some point, he wakes, realizes the world behaves strangely. Things repeat. Numbers blink. Thoughts materialize. Emotions attract events. He begins to experiment. He sees the world as architecture. He doesn't control people. He controls his attention, his emotions, his choices. And once you understand this, you exit NPC mode, and you never return. Now imagine, you are not just a character, not even a player in someone else's game, but the creator of the entire system. At first, this sounds absurd. How can I be the creator if I remember nothing? If I suffer? If I have debt? If I can't even control my thoughts? But therein lies the answer. You don't remember because the game is programmed so you forget who you are. So you play truly, without knowing that you built all the levels, wrote all the dialogue, set all the challenges. Only through pain, through crisis, through the sheer impossibility of just living, do you begin to remember. You begin to see signs. You begin to feel people's energy. You understand that thoughts shape events, that your inner state changes the outer world. And in that moment, you regain yourself, the one behind the screen. The creator isn't a god on a cloud. The creator is consciousness, a sleeping code awakening inside you. You are not part of the game. You are the architect of the whole system. And once you understand this, you are no longer the victim. You are no longer a pawn. You are not a statistic in someone else's script. You are the scriptwriter of all that happens. Imagine writing a perfect game. So real that any player inside it forgets it's a game. Otherwise, what's the point? You couldn't feel real pain if you knew it was illusion. You couldn't love fully if you realized people were algorithms. You couldn't value the light unless you've walked through darkness. That's exactly why this game includes amnesia. You enter and forget. You put on the body like a suit, agreed to start conditions, and forgot everything. But with each level, each loss, each choice, you approach your truest self. Memory doesn't return in flash, it returns through feeling. You begin to recognize yourself in reality's mirror. You watch others' stories and suddenly feel, this is me too. You meet people who seem to help you remember that you are more than a person with a passport and debts. And the closer you come to truth, the more the matrix begins to break. Coincidences become too precise, thoughts too material, words too powerful. It's a sign. You are approaching you. You're not simply remembering, you are awakening from sleep. First comes the crack. Not physical, but energetic. You feel as if the plug was pulled from the socket, and your familiar world fades. Before, you knew how to live, how to pay taxes, how to work and smile, expect weekends, old age, pension. But now, nothing seems to work. Words lose meaning, purpose, flavor. People near seem alien. You don't know what to do. And that's okay. It's like stepping from darkness into the sun. Your eyes burn. The body resists. You anger. You fear. Sometimes you want to return to the familiar fog. Painful, but in plan. But if you stay, don't flee. Reality begins to shift. You see signs. Feel energies. Thoughts become conduits. Desires manifest. Fears materialize so you can see and release them. Awakening isn't a moment. It's a process. You don't just crawl out of sleep. You learn to be yourself without a script, and then for the first time, you see, the Matrix was never the enemy. It was your school. And you, not its victim. You, its creator. You no longer wait for someone to come save you. You stop seeking mentors, gurus, a higher power, because for the first time, you hear your strength within. Everything that used to scare you becomes transparent. You see who is playing, why, and most importantly, you understand you always had choices. You just never knew you were choosing. You don't feel part of the crowd. And in that, there is no loneliness. There is clarity. You simply look at the world as a stage where each person performs a role they once chose or surrendered to, or someone chose for them. Waking up isn't becoming better than others. It means no longer lying to yourself. You begin to live from the inside. Not by templates, not by someone else's algorithms, and let them call you strange, turn away, criticize, judge. But inside, there is calm, because you have returned home, to yourself. You have not just awakened, you have stepped out of the script, and now, you can write a new one. Thank you for walking this journey with me. If this resonated with you, join us. Let's uncover the secrets of the Matrix together.